Hi there, my name's Claire Dale and I'm one of the therapists over at CFAS in Adoption Matters. We're wanting to talk to you today about a guide to a trauma-informed Christmas. Here at CFAS, we're aware that the run-up to Christmas and all the time wrapped around the festive period can be a time of great excitement and overwhelm for children and their adoptive parents. This is made even harder if it's your first Christmas or you're relatively early into your adoption journey together. So here are a few suggestions that might help you as you plan to navigate this time period. Firstly, try to reduce expectations on both you and your child. Easier said than done, we really know that. There's so much pressure on us all to make Christmas perfect and happy. It's in adverts, social media, and every visit to any shop at this time of year. In terms of your own lived experience, your journey to becoming an adopter will have had its own unique set of experiences and challenges, meaning that once your child or children have finally moved into being with you, it feels like there should be a huge celebration. However, the reality is that for most people, Christmas can be a trigger or reminder of people that are no longer present in your life. For care experienced children, Christmas will have its own memories, some of which may be positive, but also sad or frightening too. Christmas might heighten your child's feelings of loss, but they might not have the words or cognition yet to express how they're feeling. There may be anger, confusion, or sadness at not seeing both family members, or they might feel guilty for having happy moments within their new adoptive family. Often these feelings and memories will be all jumbled up, so your child's behaviour might reflect this inner hurt or need. For example, you might notice that in the run-up to Christmas, their behaviour might alter slightly. They might find it harder to regulate themselves and be more attention needing, seeking your touch and proximity, or they may be more tearful or more angry. Anger is often a masking emotion which hides the fear and anxiety that lies beneath. Having these feelings or them playing out in their behaviours is not them rejecting you, even though sometimes it might really feel like this in the moment. It's about them trying to make sense of their new place and space in the world. So being open with them and giving them space and reassurance that it's okay to have these worries or feelings will help empathically model that you're trying to connect with and understand your child. Using I wonder if language helps show your child that you're noticing them and trying to understand them and help them make connections and build security. Dan Siegel calls this name it to tame it. Giving reassurance and permission that it's okay to miss people who can't be with your child at Christmas is really helpful. Using Holly Van Goulden's part language helps you to show a child that they can feel lots of feelings about Christmas all at once, and this is okay. For example, my happy part, my chocolate loving part, my worried part, etc. Now we move on to thinking about overload of school and non-school events and activities in the run-up to Christmas. Another part of the expectation placed on adopters comes from the overload of school and non-school events and activities in the run-up to Christmas. This often means there are numerous parties, nativity performances, new or unexpected extras that might come onto the school or after-school calendar. It might help to have some early conversations in the run-up to December with your child's teacher to explain why your child might struggle with spontaneity or unplanned events, that whatever possible, helping them to know what's happening each day will really help to reduce their anxiety levels. Expectation may also come from your loved ones, eager to celebrate and participate in your first ever family together Christmas. Our suggestion would be to have these talks early to mould expectation of what you think you and your child can handle. Low key if possible, in your own home if you can, or if this isn't possible, thinking about when to structure family and friends get-togethers over the Christmas period, so it's not just focused on the one day. It's okay to say no, to try and do things a little differently whilst you're all still trying to get to know each other. It might be that family get-togethers are shorter than usual to ensure success, or because your children might need more neutral spaces so there's a chance for a run around at the beach or park, so some of that physical exertion can help release some of the build up too. The next thing we want to think about is instead of focusing on solely Christmas Day, moving it to Christmas time language and activities. This means you can start splitting the days into more coherent chunks for your child. The use of a visual timetable, language prompts with now, next, and later will help, especially if you're navigating your first Christmas together, because it helps build predictability and surety for the child. Remember, after your first Christmas, as you start building language and a narrative for your child, this will build permanence. For example, Chloe, I remember when we went to Granny's to watch the Christmas film last year, or we had hot chocolate and marshmallows after your nativity at school. By naming and recalling these events and memories, you are building up tangible links for your child by building a shared history, a literal memory jar of new family experiences for you and your children. Let's move on now to thinking about the sensory needs of your child at this point too. Often at Christmas, children are expected to wear more party outfits or formal wear for school and family parties or Christmas Day itself. We'd recommend you letting your child wear clothes that are familiar and that they feel really comfy in wherever possible. Alternatively, trying out and trying on new party clothes ahead of time to see if they really do feel okay for your child might help too. There are lots of lights, smells and sounds that can be quite triggering for children at Christmas. If they don't like loud bangs, avoiding balloons and making your own crackers without the bang in them might help reduce stimuli that could frighten or overwhelm them. Think about having a small take with you everywhere little bag with some fidget toys, sunglasses, ear defenders, a handkerchief with your perfume or scent on, an attachment object, something they can hold or wrap themselves in, a colouring book or a favourite book, as well as some familiar snacks and a drink that all go into your little take it everywhere bag. This little bag could help if you notice that your child is starting to get overwhelmed in busy, noisy or crowded spaces. Now we move on to the countdown to Christmas. Another frequently asked question from our adopters is about managing the seemingly endless countdown to Christmas for your children. It's important to remember that excitement is as dysregulating as fear. Be guided by how or what your child's saying and noticing about lights, decorations, presents, etc., especially if they're a bit older. Also asking them what rituals and things they like doing for Christmas could become part of your new shared family rituals together moving forward. Depending on the needs of your children, we often find that having a shorter countdown to Christmas within your home can really help. For example, planning to reduce the length of time the decorations go up, or having shared spaces and private places, i.e. the child's bedroom, where there may be Christmas-free zones, will give them space to breathe and have a little respite from the constant reminder of Christmas. Some families opt to slowly build up the decorations in a room or space, one room at a time. And at the other side of Christmas, you might need to take your decorations down a little earlier than usual, or even in phases. Remember, it's early days for you, so you'll be learning from and about each other with every year that passes. Another thing to begin thinking about is what your messaging is going to be about Father Christmas, and in some cases, Elf on the Shelf. What's hard with these ideas is they are often linked to punishment or rewards for being good or naughty. For care experienced children, they will often, due to their adverse early experiences, already have quite negative self-esteem and may quickly tip into toxic shame. So this is certainly something to really think on and agree about early on. So now we move on to Christmas Day. In terms of thinking about sensory needs on Christmas Day itself, we suggest either agreeing in advance with your child, depending on their age of course, what the children might eat. Wherever possible, can they stick to foods that are familiar and favourites? Keeping meal times wherever possible to what they're used to will help keep a little structure and predictability in place for them on the day itself when things are often very overwhelming and busy. An additional challenge our adopters share is that concepts like Father Christmas, although traditional for some of our families, have lots of tricky connotations for care experienced children who may have experienced abuse, issues with secrecy, and witnessed or experienced really challenging things around the Christmas period. This messaging may take a few years to grow and develop in an organic and comfortable way for you and your family, but it might be that you think about having the presents left at a point furthest away from the children's room, or even in the garage if it's secure, and naming where the presents might be left by Santa with your child Could even be included on the letter to Santa if you choose to do this, so that they know that he will not be entering their private space, e.g. their bedroom. And finally, we move on to thinking about Christmas gifts. You may also want to consider the number of presents you give your child or allow friends or family to give. Too many gifts will tip your child into overwhelm quickly. Family might be able to give vouchers so you can have time in future months building memories together on fun family days out instead. We'd recommend a less is more approach wherever possible if you can, and just have a few presents. You could also potentially stagger when the child receives them so that they get paired presents both before Christmas Day and after. This will reduce the anxiety and having to wait, and also the chaos of present unwrapping. You might also decide that if there is a must-have toy that your child desperately wants, that you think about giving this to your child before Christmas Day to reduce their worry and that they might not be getting any presents. Christmas is a time when you'll be so focused on trying to make it the best it can be for your child that you often forget how important you are in this equation. Both you and your child will really need some inbuilt downtimes in your calendar over Christmas. We recommend some pajama days so you can have some much needed decompression time after visitors or family and friend outings. Sometimes letting your child watch a programme or film or have a little time on the tablet so you can have a cuppa or do some of those things you really need to do is okay, and sometimes, well, very necessary. Any chance to draw on your support network and let them help you with practical and or emotional support at this busy and potentially stressful time is key to making Christmas pass for you and your child in the best way possible. And finally, the adoption journey is really a marathon, not a sprint. I know I'm always saying this, but it's true. Please try to remember that this is just the beginning of establishing your own unique family rituals and traditions for Christmas together. You will get there. You will learn with each Christmas what works and what doesn't work for you and your child or children, and build positive foundations on this learning together. We wish you a very happy Christmas from everybody at CFAS and Adoption Matters. Take care. Bye-bye.